So you belong to the ivory tower. I see this ivory tower. Oh, the material world makes you feel superior. So then you look down with scorn at your brother. But your flying space is getting very narrow. Soon you won't be able to resist the arrow. Birds that fly high, none of them ever touch the sky. Birds that fly high, you gotta fly back down to die. So flap your wings and fly. You could never touch the sky. And don't care how high you fly, you gotta fly back down to die. Birds that fly high, you gotta fly back down to die. Politics and politicians is the problem. Power and corruption stands behind them. They created dirty middle class society. Within that circle, them control all the money. If they could have paid their way, they'd live forever. But we all got to go 6 feet under. Birds that fly high, none of them ever touch the sky. Birds that fly high, you gotta fly back down to die. So flap your wings and fly. You could never touch the sky. And don't care how high you fly, you gotta fly back down to die. Birds that fly high, you gotta fly back down to die. You remind me a lot of the vultures flying in your private jets and helicopters. At the expense of the poor, you built the castle. After using us, you're giving us the hassle. You feel you are so protected up in orbit. You don't know you're just another flying target. Birds that fly high, none of them ever touch the sky. You remind me a lot of the vultures flying in your private jets and helicopters. At the expense of the poor, you built the castle. After using us, you're giving us the hassle. You feel you are so protected up in orbit. You don't know you're just another flying target. Birds that fly high, none of them ever touch the sky. Birds that fly high, you gotta fly back down to time. So flap your wings and fly. You could never touch the sky. I don't care how high you fly. You gotta fly back down to time. Birds that fly high, you gotta fly back down to time. Mr. Big Man, hear the words of this man. You only created your own damnation. You make vanity and luxury your glory. But behind that stands a very sad, sad story. What does it profit the man who owns the whole world and yet suffer at the loss of his own soul? Birds that fly high, none of them ever touch the sky. Birds that fly high, you gotta fly back down to time. So flap your wings and fly. You could never touch the sky. I don't care how high you fly. You gotta fly back down to time. Birds that fly high, you gotta fly back down to time. Thank you all. This next song I'm about to do.
Birds that fly high have to fly down to earth. Lord Valentino, the People's Calypsonian. Birds that fly high have to fly down from the sky. Hinta Beniba, Mekwashiba, take notice. Good evening to you and those of you who've waited for us. We had a late start tonight, very late start, because I was out doing some representation, representation politics, issues of land and land ownership here on the East Coast, in Buxton, and so I was out attending to some of those issues, and I made the mistake of, well, not the mistake, let me take that back. I decided that I was going to walk across to where we were meeting with the folks with the grievance, and so on my way back, trying to get back to start the program, it's difficult to walk through the village and not be stopped. And you can't tell people, well, man, I can't stop, I gotta go home for politics 101. So I ended up stopping along the way and having to attend to all kinds of questions and issues. It comes with the turf. And so the late start tonight, today, was one of those hectic days where you're in and out of meetings and representation and so forth. And we had timed this evening meeting to be finished in time for Politics 101, and we did finish in time. on time. But as I said, walking through the village is difficult not to stop. And so the late start. But some of you have remained. When I was when I was a lecturer, professor, and the rule is that you wait for 15 minutes, and if the professor doesn't turn up, then the students are free to go. And there were those who, by the time it got to 14 minutes, were ready to go. And so sometimes you turned up 20 minutes later, 25 minutes later, and about half of the class would be there. And you got a sense of those who really wanted to be in the class because they did not observe the 15-minute rule, and they waited 25 minutes, half an hour, and so forth. So my hats off to those of you who stayed on. Somebody saying here, Chalkdust said himself and Valentino are the last spin bowlers of Calypso. Quite right. You had the Blood Brothers, Chalkdust, Valentino, Duke, and Stalin. Stalin has gone to the great beyond. Duke has gone to the great beyond. And so really, Chalkdust and Valentino are the two blood brothers who were still with us. So Chalkdust is hunting spin. The rail spinners, he said, the rail Calypsonian is like a spinner, where the ball pitch, you don't know where it will turn. You intend for the ball to go so that it goes so. Chalkdust as a Calypso, that real Calypso is you want to say what you want to say, but you don't say it how you want to say. So yes, Chalky and Valentino are the two blood brothers that are still with us. Valentino never really won the crown. Chalkdust, of course, has won a record 8 times. Stalin, I think, won about 3 times, 4 times. Duke won 4 times in succession. He has that record. 1969, 1970, 1971, 1968, 69, 70, 71. And they brought Sparrow in 1972 out of semi-retirement. But Duke, Kelvin Pope, who gave us Black is Beautiful. And those of you who are the party people, it's thunder. You all are watching you. If I hold you tonight, it's thunder. Duke, of course, Chalkdust, Black Stallion, and Valentino. They're what I refer to as the Black Power Calypsonians. They were deeply involved in the Black Power movement. I think Chalky and Stalin might have joined NJAC, which was the Black Power organization in Trinidad that staged the 1970 revolution. But they were close. They were the Black Power Calypsonians. Sparrow had come on the scene a decade before, in 1956, with Gene and Dinah and so forth. And Sparrow is what I refer to as the independence Calypsonian, that generation, Sparrow and Kitchener and so on. They're the independents. They ushered in independence. And then you had a decade later, Stalin and Chalky and Valentino, who I refer to as the Black Power Calypsonians. I started to write a piece, and only the other day I saw it. It was about 2/3 done. I'm hoping that now that I'm retired, I'll go back to a lot of those articles and pieces that I started and couldn't finish. But a year on since retirement, I haven't gotten to that yet, because of course, since retirement, new work, added work, and I haven't had a chance to get back to a lot of the academic articles and books that I have halfway done, um, and so forth. And I don't have a research assistant who can help me to pull those things together. But we shall see. We shall see. Good evening to all of you. Please share the link and let them know that Politics 101 is on a little bit late, as I said, because we have to combine representational work and political work. And with this kind of political work, and sometimes it goes late into the night. Last night, I commended the police for doing a good job here in Buxton over the weekend with the Buxton March, and I was optimistic when I said they weren't gunplay. But I heard today there was indeed gunplay, and a couple of people. I don't know. We this is something I intend to spend some time on. That is, bringing back our communities to a place where we all can feel safe. And I know part of the fun now is, this bow in the air, and, it's part of the fun, it's part of the party, but it has its negatives. And, children were out there and so on. But anyhow, we have to keep on keeping on because we have to take care of our society. We have to take care of our communities. As I said, we can't depend on the government to do it because the government is not going to do it. The government likes it when people are pitted against people, when police is pitted against the community, when communities are pitted against communities, because that's the way they get to buy off people, and it's not their electoral constituency, and so they don't have an interest in order in these societies. And we're saying it as blunt as we can say it. And so therefore we have to take care of our communities, and quite a task we have before us because we are seeing the unraveling before our faces. We concentrate a lot on the raw politics, the party politics. But as we have been saying on this program and other programs, that quite apart from the party politics, the society is unraveling. The society is unraveling. Good evening to you, Rhonda Lane from the famous Rhonda Lane from Denhamsdale. I've been tuning into some of Rhonda's lives whenever I get a chance. I see my sister Stacy from Ansgrove. Good night, Stacy. And those of you who have stayed on and waited for the program. Deslin is here with us tonight. Donna, Wilson, Harriet. Harriet is one of the faithfuls. She has been, I think, forever. I think I remember Harriet going right back to the 2011 election, being around, and we cannot do this without all of you who spend the time with us here whenever we do these programs, whether it's in the evenings, in the mornings. It's a community that we are building and that we have built. I was making the point that we, understandably so, we pay most of our attention to the party politics and the raw politics. And we often don't pay enough attention to what happens as a consequence of the politics, as a consequence of the politics, and so things happen, and then we discover them, and then we realize how badly we have fallen. The test of political decay is not necessarily the raw politics, but it's the damage that the politics do to our society. Good evening to all of you. Good evening to you. I see Sandra is with us. Stacy, yes, Stacy Ansgrove girl. Stacy, you're not visiting us. Desiree Smart. You're not visiting us in Boston as you used to do. On my way in, I ordered my wings from Petal and them. I hope they don't deliver the wings while I'm on the program. Yes, good evening. The real test of political decay is the social decay in the country. It's social decay. And we see that all around us. And sometimes we blame young people. Well, the young people this and the young people that. Those young people are products of the society. They didn't fall from the sky. They're products of the society. And as the society decays, they are affected. In many regards, they are rebelling against the decay. And so when we look at the social decay around us, we have to take pause and to say we have to redouble our efforts to right the wrongs in this society. And so this issue goes beyond party politics. And I'm not saying that party politics is not important, because we all belong to political parties. We all come to you every 5 years, every 3 years at local government and ask for your votes as political parties. So political parties are important. But as political leaders, as political people, we have to always gaze beyond the party and to look at what's happening in the society around us. And it is the government, it is the role of government to look after the welfare of the people. It is perhaps the primary function of government. We know one function of government is to distribute resources. Another perennial function of government is to look after the welfare of the people. Some of you who are politically inclined at a certain level will hear they talk about the welfare state. That the state was created to look after the welfare of the people, to do for people what they cannot do for themselves. You can put your trash out when the trash truck is passing. But when all of that trash is dumped in one place, it has to be taken care of, it has to be dispensed of, it has to be burned. You can't do that. That's what the government has to do. There are things that we can do for ourselves as individuals, but there are things that government has to do. That is why government was created. So I hear some crazy and uninformed political people who always say, everything you depend on the government. The fact of the matter is, governments were created to do things for us that we can't do for ourselves. We can't stand up on the road and flash a green light, a red light, an amber light, and say green means go, red means stop. It's the government has to do that. And so when you see the traffic light, that's the government, that's the state. They're regulating the traffic. As an individual, you cannot do that. Imagine if there weren't traffic lights. Nobody will get home. But the state was created to regulate the society and to create order in the society. To create order in the society. And that is why Valentino talks about birds that fly high, who will fly down from the sky. Birds that fly high.
Years now. So, it's a public song, it's not mine again. But I'm always proud to sing this song because that's the song that really, put a stamp on the whole thing. It's a public owner, but I'm going to sing it for the public. Life is a stage, and we are the actors, and everybody have a part to play. Like a never-ending movie with all different characters, each one have a role to portray. Down to these scavengers and them barristers, all them doctors and lawyers and these ministers. So this honorable this and this honorable that and this lady so and so. So apart all these people playing, I want you to know. So don't blame the politician anytime you find you get bad administration. That was meant to be. The fella is playing his role superbly. Now don't blame the judges for their injustice. Why blame the criminals? I say it's a part.
Come out to play. Life is a stage, and we are the actors. Another classic there from Valentino. We are the actors. Life is a stage. And, we blame the politicians according to Valentino, but he's just playing a part. And as I was saying, the state was created to do for us what we can't do for ourselves. If we say freedom, but freedom is not absolute. We have the freedom to do anything that we want to do. One can say at a personal level, a man has the freedom to go beat a woman up, to beat up his wife and all that kind of thing. But the state has to step in and say, but you can't beat your wife. Freedom has a limit. And that is why we create the state and the government. To say, if you beat your wife, the state will step in the form of the police and the court and so on. So we created the government and the state. And you can't create the government and the state and then tell people they can't depend on the government and the state. We have just given, by a majority in parliament, the majority of one party, we have given the government $1.58 trillion to spend. Imagine. We have given them that money to spend. And then you are telling us we mustn't depend on the state? We mustn't depend on the government? Then who are we going to depend on? The private sector? We didn't give the private sector $1.5 million. And that is why who gets what, when, and how is so important. And in a society like Guyana, that is a state-centered society, the government, which is the administrative arm of the state, is all-powerful. And in a society like Guyana, where the checks on the state, the formal checks on the state are being eroded, they're undermining the law. The parliament, which is supposed to be a check on the cabinet. But when you look in the parliament, cabinet members are sitting in parliament. So the system is messed up. And so that is why we have to pay attention to what the government is doing. You cannot give a government $1.5 trillion and then sit back and say, well, I'm looking after myself. Because the government will take 3%, 5%, if that much, of that $1.5 trillion and give you to shut your individual mouth up. And they take the 95% and deviate among themselves. That is what we have in Guyana. Out of that $1.5 trillion, they will pay 5% of it as hush money. They give some of the people a $2 million contract here, a $3 million contract here. And what they're doing is that they're muzzling you. So you say, boy, I got to look after myself. And so you're not concerned. What you get with that $3 million is a nothing in the budget. But you're okay. And you're looking after yourself. And so you become complicit with $1.5 trillion being stolen by your government. Now, you all don't get me wrong. Am I saying to people, don't look after yourself? Of course, look after yourself legitimately. You have to. Demand contracts. But don't allow yourself to be muzzled by those contracts. That's the point I'm making here. It's not that you should not get contracts. You should not get a $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million. You deserve more. The point is, are you trading your dignity and your justice for bread? Professor Clive Thomas coined that term in a WPA pamphlet in 1976, bread and justice. And he argues that you must not trade your justice for bread. You want bread and the justice. But unfortunately, in our society, the PPPA has crafted a system where we are forced, we are coerced to trade our justice, our dignity for bread. And the bread is not a quarter enough to take care of our needs. And so we find across the ethnic divide, across the political divide, people are quiet. The things that are happening in this country, those of you who had an opportunity to hear Takuma Ogunse speaking at Buxton the other night, his speech is on CAMS TV and Politics 101. Go listen to it. Because what has happened is that this society has so much injustice, but people are so quiet, which means that our people have been beaten into submission. And that is disquieting. Because when you beat people into silence and submission, you are able to erode their rights, take away their privileges, and by the time they wake up or their children wake up, they are in bondage. And so those of us who are prepared to trade our justice for a piece of bread, and you hear some of our people, a man got to eat the bread, a man got to eat the food. Well, yes. But not what the Bible says, man shall not live by bread alone. But we are prepared to trade everything that we have fought for centuries. We are prepared to trade it for a piece of bread. And we have to stop that. Because what is going to happen in 10 years, in 15 years, you look up and you have no rights. And that piece of bread is gone. And you are left without bread and without justice and rights. That is why we have to take stocks now. We have to take stock now. Because we are going down a road that spells disaster. And what they're going to say, we didn't beat you. You willingly accepted your lot. This society is too quiet. Any society that has the fastest growing economy in the world and one of the fastest poverty rate at the same time should not be a quiet society. But our society is quiet. I ain't telling anybody to go and broke up and lick down. But I'm saying stand up erect and say no. Say no. Martin Carter said, no, I will not still my voice. I have too much to claim. So if you see me looking at your hands or listening when you speak, know that I do not sleep to dream, but I dream to change the world. Why? Why, he says. I've learned from books, dear friend, of men who lived in a room without any light, of men who could not die since death was far too poor. So if you see me listening when you speak or marching in your ranks, know that I look for fire. Martin Carter, the poet. We should not still our voice, our collective voice. And we are pleading, I am pleading with us. Stop enabling our oppression. I want everyone to eat the bread, to eat the food. That's why people like myself have put ourselves forward to be advocates, because we want you all to eat the food. We want you all to eat the bread. What I and people of my kind of politics, we do not want you all to sell your soul, to be muzzled by the food you eat, says Martin Carter again. The mouth is muzzled by the food it eats. We have to call ourselves to order. We have to call ourselves to book. We are destroying ourselves as a community, as a society. Our foreparents were enslaved, they were in shackles, but they never stilled their voices. They never allowed their mouth to be muzzled by the food they ate. They never traded their justice for what meager bread they got. And they were able to come out of the plantation because they never stilled their voices. And today, at least we are not in formal shackles, but we are deciding to still our voices because we think that somehow or the other, life is going to be good for us. The oppressors are very clear. They will look at 300,000 of you, 400,000 of you, and they're going to take 1,000, and they're going to give 1,000 some big houses and some things. And they will dangle that at you and say that if you do what we say, you can get that, but you will never get it. Look at what they did. They take our proposal of cash transfer. We said they didn't believe in it. Clive Thomas is crazy. WPA is crazy. When we said you all should get $1 million based on our calculation, we are crazy. But what they did, they took the idea, bastardize it, give you all 100,000, sweeten you, and tell you you're going to get 200,000 if you vote for us. And after the election, they did not even deliver the 100,000. And now it's passing the budget, and they can't say when you're going to get it. And if you get it, say goodbye, because they're not likely to give you another one in years. They've reduced this country to 100,000 people, ordinary people, that all you can get from all the billions and trillions that are coming in from the oil well is 100,000. And some of us seem to be satisfied with that. Of course, $100,000 is $100,000 you didn't have. But don't settle for that. Professor Clive Thomas is an economist. He has studied this thing long before it come. Remember, it's 2018 at Buxton that he came here in this historical village, this historic village, and says that oil is coming, and at its peak, the government can afford $1 million per household. They told him he was crazy. And you all need to know that, so that you don't sell your soul for 100,000. Like I said, 100,000 is 100,000 you didn't have. And we will fight for you to get that, knowing that it's meager. But we will fight for you to get it. But what we are not going to fight for is for you to be muzzled and to be satisfied with that. When you add up that little small piece, the because we care, all them little grant, when you add it up, it comes to nothing compared with what big businesses are getting, compared with what big contractors are getting, compared with what the leaders are getting in kickbacks. As the APN used to say, friends, family, and favorite. And yes, you must be glad for those little grant. But you must not be satisfied with it. That's my message tonight. And I'm not ashamed to say it to Guyanese, especially those who are looking to us for example and for leadership, to say to you that you deserve much more than that. You deserve a better life. And I'm not in the business of saying to people, take their money and you know where you're going to vote. I'm not into that nonsense. I'm saying demand more than you are getting. Demand more than the little small piece they're giving you. Demand more. And the ultimate way of demanding more is to vote people in there who are likely to give you more. That's the ultimate. But until that day comes, demand more. Demand more. Power concedes nothing without a demand, says Frederick Douglass. It never did, and it never will. Let me repeat that. Frederick Douglass, the African-American freedom fighter, anti-slavery, abolitionist, born a slave, ran away, and tells the story that one day the slave master raised his hand to beat him. And he raised his hand in defiance. And the slave master's whip was left in the air because the slave master never expected an enslaved boy to raise his hand against him. Stand up and raise your hand like Frederick Douglass. Because they don't expect you to raise your hands. So when you raise your hand, cactus and pepper. That's what Frederick Douglass did. It's not always force that wins the day. Sometimes the threat of force. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not telling you all to go and lick up and block them. Raise your voices. And there are many ways to raise your voices against oppression. We must become tired of being quiet. To be quiet in the face of oppression is to aid and abet oppression. Our foreparents did not win the freedom from the plantation. They did not win the freedom from the boneyard of indentureship. They did not win their freedom from colonialism for us to sit down and allow modern day colonials and slave masters and indentured leaders to be whipping us left, right, and center. We have to be tired of being tired, to quote Fannie Lou Hamer, African sharecropper woman, who declared, "I'm tired of being tired." You see, people like myself, who come out of a tradition of revolutionary struggle. And what we mean by revolutionary struggle, revolution is not a bad word. America is where it is today because of revolution. In 1776, it declared independence from Britain, the 13 states. And then they picked up arms and fought against the British. The unfortunate thing today is that America is stifling revolution against the world, around the world. But that's part of what it is. But the point I'm making, do not be scared of revolution. What revolution means is fundamental change. It is the opposite of reform. Reform means slow change at best, gradual change. But really, what reform means is that you think with the edges without bringing about change. Revolution means a fundamental change in the order of things. Revolution means that 58% of poverty must become zero. 58 must not become 48 or 38. As the PPP is telling us, 58 is wrong. Well, if 58 is wrong, tell me how much it is. And the reason they can't tell us how much it is, because it's most likely more than 58. And what we are saying is that it's criminal in 2026, when the kind of money that we are getting in Guyana circulating in this country, for you to have 6 out of 10 of your people living in poverty. It is criminal. And the only way you can change that is to revolutionize the system. The system of distribution. And distribution don't mean come and hand out money. Distribution says, is this, I am a policeman. If I am a teacher, if I'm a nurse, if I'm a doctor working with the government, that I deserve my equitable share of the resources in the form of wages. I'm not asking you to come and give me anything. Pay me for my labor. Pay me because you can pay me. Pay me because you have the money. You're paying contractors. Pay me because I am a contractor. As a nurse, as a teacher, as a doctor, as a mechanic, as a maid, as a security guard. Pay me just as you're paying the contractors. Give me, I'm not telling you give me the amount that you're giving the contractor. That may not be possible. But give me what my labor deserves. I have a family of 5. You can't give me $102,000 and tell me that that is enough to feed my family of 5. It is not enough. It is not enough. And we know they know it's not enough. So when we say revolutionize the system, give me, I'm saying pay me for my labor. Come on, my people, we gotta get this thing right. You do not owe the government anything. The government owes you everything. We gotta get back. You know, the elections happened. It's about 6 months. Some of us were wounded. Some of us were hurt by the outcome of the elections. And so, in many regards, our spirits were dampened. But pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. The Calypsonian gypsy. Get up, get up, get up, get up, people, get up. The people of Linden. The street parliament is coming there on Friday. Get out there. Let your bodies, don't put your ex as you did 6 months ago and then go into hiding. Come out in the open. You don't have to vote it for APNU to turn up on that APNU street parliament. My message tonight, as on other nights, is that we have to do better. I'm a great defender of the poor, the powerless, the poor of all races, the poor of all ethnic groups. But my defense of the poor is not enough to liberate the poor. It is the poor and the powerless who have to stand up in their own defense. Bob Marley said, the hotter the struggle, the sweeter the victory. Dr. Walter Rodney says, fight for your own freedom and you cherish it more. If somebody gives you freedom today, they can come tomorrow and say, give me back my freedom. But if you fight for your own freedom, you cherish it and you defend it more tomorrow. I know sometimes we depend on leaders to lead the way. But somewhere along the line, some of us think that the leaders are going to win the freedom for us. Bad reasoning. The leaders are there to guide us. Sometimes they walk at the front of the line. Sometimes they walk at the back of the line or the middle of the line. It is you, the people, who must lead your own struggle. What we in the WPA call the self-activity of the people, a term coined by Dr. Walter Rodney. The self-activity that leads to self-emancipation. We are here to guide. We are here to inspire. Quiana said, the poet, the political activist is like a gardener with a watering can, watering the flowers so that when they bloom, it is owned. They're owned by the people who make them bloom. Watering, giving it back to the people that they can use it as political nourishment. That's what we political leaders and political activists and academics do. We take your experience, refine them, and give them back to you. Nothing that comes from my mouth tonight, I was born with. I was lucky to be trained so that I develop an eye to observe the people's experiences and make sense of it and give them back to you as I am doing tonight. That's what revolutionary leaders do. So if they come to you and tell you that there's some individual genius, and some of us fall for that nonsense. We become geniuses because we speak with the voice of the people. We think with the minds of the people. We walk with the feet of the people. I'm paraphrasing there from Lassana Kwesi, a little-known poet from Trinidad during the revolutionary days in that country and the Caribbean. And I know sometimes I quote from these people, not because I want to show off about how much I read and how much I know. I quote from them because they are the voices of the people, and they better explain what I am trying to say. Tonight we move. Tonight we move. We've been quiet. We've been quiet for 6 months since the election. And we have to stop being quiet. We have to stop being complacent. We have to stop being complicit in our own demise. I started the program tonight and I talk about the gunshots, and young people now are having fun by shooting up in the air. That's not new. But in the 1970s, Forbes Burnham started a national service so that the energies of our young people could be channeled somewhere else. But instead of shooting physical guns in the air, they're shooting guns of freedom, guns of liberation from poverty. So many people's lives were changed by national service. Where is our national service today? To give our people a sense of control over their lives with the aid and abetting of the state. It's okay to complain about the young people and how bad behaved they are, as if somehow or the other this is the first bad behaved generation. All generations have had their share of bad behavior. But what did the government and the state do? Under Burnham, the government and the state channeled those energies to Papaya and Kimbia and other places. And so many of our young people came out of those institutions, liberated, started new lives. What is this government doing? They're aiding and abetting the slide into despair. Sisters and brothers, we have to do better. I am not condemning anyone. I am making the point that human beings are inherently good. That's my belief. As human beings, we are inherently good. We become not so good when conditions deteriorate. But if conditions get better, then we do better. I'm calling on Guyanese of all ethnic groups, of all races, especially the poor, especially the powerless, who represent more than 90% of this population, that only you can free yourself. None but yourself can free your mind. Marcus Messiah Garvey turned into beautiful song by Robert Nesta Marley. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Only you can free your mind. Some say it's just a part of it that we have to fulfill this book. We don't have to fulfill no book. The only book that we are going to fulfill is the promise of freedom from the time of enslavement to the present. Wake up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. There are always those who are going to say, oh, David Hines attacks stupidness. What you ever do for black people? What you ever do for poor people? That is the nonsense that they want you to believe, that to be a political leader, I got to come and give you something in your hand. And if I give you something in your hand, then I own you. And I'm not in the business of ownership. We are not in the business of ownership. The days of ownership are over. I will fight them. We will fight them to make opportunities available to you, jobs available to you, resources available to you. We come in peace, as we always do. But beneath that veneer must be something that is determined, something that recognizes that I am as good as my collective, and I'm as bad as my collective. I may appear as though I'm better, but man is in the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. In the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. I hear people give all kind of explanation of what he mean and so on. In the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. That we have plenty money, that's the abundance of water. But yet, if we don't move right and do right, we are going to be left thirsty. And that's what's happening with us. The abundance of money, and yet 58%, 60% of our people are in poverty. And some of us don't recognize that we are in poverty. In the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. That when you have an abundance of water, don't be a fool, or else you will be thirsty. Don't be a fool that says, I settle for 100,000, I settle for a $1 million contract to build some concrete strip. Do not settle for a fool share, because in the end you shall be thirsty. In the abundance of water, a fool is thirsty. Don't let us make ourselves fools by accepting a pittance, accepting hush money. Because in the budget, they got a little hush money there, you know, a little air, come for a little public assistance. And nothing is wrong with the public assistance, because the public has a right to assist those of us who cannot assist themselves. But you're asking us to exchange our dignity for it. And that's what I'm fighting against. That's what we're fighting against. And that's what all of us must fight against. In the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. That is, if you make yourself a fool, what seems to be plenty is not really plenty. That $3 million, $4 million for shut your mouth you think is plenty is not plenty. It's a drop in the ocean. Take it because you deserve it. But demand more. Don't take it. Yes, Master. Yes, Master. Don't worry, David Hines. That's what they want you to see. We are moving, and we are moving onwards. The honeymoon is over. 6 months since September. The honeymoon is over. Time for us to get back to the struggle. The elections represented a pause, a part of the struggle. It's not the whole struggle. As I said last night, let not your hearts be troubled if you're PNC, APNU, WPA. You may be the third party in parliament, but politically, you represent much more than that third party status. You're still a force to reckon with in this country, because you bear the scars of bondage. To borrow from Chaiko and U.C. Quine in their book, Scars of Bondage. On your backs and all over your bodies are the scars of bondage. Indentureship was a milder form, if you can call it mild, if bondage can ever be mild, but a less harsh form of bondage, but it was bondage nevertheless. We all bear the scars of bondage. Our indigenous people bear the scars of bondage. And those scars must set off in our minds always the desire for better, the desire for an alternative life. Get up, stand up erect, and begin to emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but yourself can free your mind. By the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down, and there we wept. When we remember Zion, we remember the source. When we remember the times when we were at one with our gods and our environment and our ancestors. By the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down and there we wept when we remembered Zion. But how can we sing a freedom song in a strange land? We have to unstrange this land so that we can sing songs of freedom, songs of our ancestors, songs of a better future, songs of revolution, liberation. Do not be afraid of revolution. It means fundamental change. A revolution get all of here. The revolution that opened the gates of the plantation, the revolution that broke the back of indentureship, the revolution that brought us out of formal colonialism into a state of republicanism and independence. A revolution get all of here. Fundamental change. And that is why people like myself call ourselves radicals. Don't be afraid to be a radical or to associate with radical, because what radical means is getting to the root. R-O-O-T. That's all. It's not an intimidating word as they make it to be. I am proud to be a revolutionary. I am proud to be a radical. Because I don't want poverty to go from 58 to 38. I want poverty to go from 58 to 0. That's a revolutionary. That's a radical. And that's what I am. Until my dying day, my trumpet shall sound the narrative of revolutionary change, of radical change. Because mankind was not created to live as unfree human beings, as unfree human beings.